I'm leaving my depressed boyfriend and it's breaking my heart. My boyfriend, M23, and I, F24, have a complicated on and off history. The off periods generally coincide with severe episodes of depression. Of his. He ghosted me, for 6 weeks or so, and I ended up confronting him at his house. Fully emotionally prepared to break up, but it was confusing. He seemed so dead inside and unlike himself. He said he was afraid. That he was cold. He said he loved me and wanted to be with me. Asked me if rather than break up we could talk about it. All I asked was for him to text me this week so we could set a time to talk, and nothing. Depression has stolen the man I know him to be. So cruel and cold and distant. He's becoming self-destructive. I don't think his friends are good for him. I've written a letter with everything I want to say. The only thing stopping me from sending it is hope. I want so badly just to curl up on his chest and cry. I don't want to leave him. I love him. I can't see my life without him in it, and I can't help but feel there is more I could have done. But he's not there for me. He does nothing and I feel so hurt and alone. I just don't know what to do anymore. I would have done anything for him. Even if it meant sitting on his steps and waiting, but he says nothing. Any advice or tips or anything? TLDR, my boyfriend has depression and I don't know how to reach him. Should I say goodbye? Edit. Wow everyone, I am so overwhelmed by the response to this post and am taking the time to read all of the advice and anecdotes everyone is providing me with. Thank you all so far. I feel like it is very important that I add. I do not believe him to be suicidal, but rather that he just isn't in a good place mentally. Possibly is struggling. And shutting me out while doing so. It sounds like your boyfriend might benefit from a visit, virtual or in person, to a doctor. A physician can assess his symptoms and prescribe therapy or medication that will help his mood. You might benefit from reading about depression and what you can do to help your boyfriend. Sometimes just sitting with someone so they're not alone is enough. Depression is not fun. I have been dealing with depression for about 4 years now. It's easy to go numb and push away the people you care about because you feel like they're better off without you, or you don't actually mean that much to them. It's taken therapy and medication for me to get back to a semblance of normal and have a healthy relationship. However, I had to first admit what was wrong and then take the steps to fix it. It's far from easy. But if your boyfriend wants any kind of future with you, that's what he has to do too. If he's not willing to try that for himself, you, or your relationship, then that's probably a sign that you're not the best matches for each other. I recently got ghosted by someone for the who knows how many times. Really. I lost count. It's been over a month since I heard from him, as it became a mutual ghosting. I used to message him all the time, asking him how he was and if he was doing okay and staying warm after he would ghost me. This time though, I just couldn't do it anymore. He wore me down and broke me and my heart. A part of me gave up on him. I knew he was going through a tough time. Depression, deployment, lots of internal turmoil happening. But instead of talking it out with me, he decided to just disappear. What I came to terms with and had to accept was that while he had his reasons, I have my reality. And that reality was screaming at me that him not saying anything, going silent and cold. He has a history of this. And being withdrawn hurt me more than if he had just came out and told me he no longer wanted to try to make it work between us. I was the one prolonging the inevitable because I saw him as the man I fell in love with, not the man he had become or had always been. And the truth was, I'm not even sure if he was capable of caring for me at that point in his life. It still hurt right now, but I'm ready to move on with my life without him. That relationship had been over far longer than I had wanted to admit. Regardless, I didn't deserve to be treated that way. You can decide to stay or leave, but it's up to him to change and come to you. Unfortunately, you can't help him in that aspect if he's pushing you away. There's nothing to convince if he's putting up walls and won't even meet you halfway. You may see him as the man you loved, but he might not be that person anymore and is already becoming someone else. Someone you might come to hate or be scared of or resent. You need to protect yourself first. So in order to save yourself some grief and more heartbreak, you will have to be the one to close this chapter of your life with him, because he doesn't seem capable of doing so, or maybe he doesn't even care anymore. We always want to help the ones we love, but sometimes that means walking away from them. If he has family, or if there are mental health professionals who can help, get them involved too. No matter what you choose to do, if it's safe to do so. But make sure to always look out for yourself first. It's not your fault or your responsibility. Please remember that. Don't neglect your mental health in the search to help him with his. Either way, I'm sorry for what you're going through and I wish you the best. I've been on your BF's side of things. It's not easy. He's lost in his head. Things flying around in there are dark and scary. He's alone in his head. He's pushing away to the point of no contact. He may think he's saving others by taking this on himself since it's his mess. So many things are happening in his head with him alone in there. You're on the outside, the safe side, so it's hard to see how deep his rabbit hole is spiraling. I've been battling depression for 15 years. Anxiety for 13 years. 5 suicide attempts. Currently suicidal urges for 2 years. I am now 30. I had a woman in your shoes. During the on-off relationship, I had made 5 attempts on my life. My depression tore her to pieces as it is doing to you. I don't really need to go into detail, as they are frighteningly similar to yours. The one thing that pulled me out enough to get help was when she had to drug me with an anti-anxiety pill she was prescribed during my depression fit, which I don't remember happening, and force me to a hospital. They took me in as an emergency case. I was assessed and held for 30 hours until my suicidal urges subsided enough to go home with supervision. I was angry for what she did, but after being medicated I was grateful she did. She saved my life. The relationship was still on-off, but this time it was her doing the hot-cold to her personal anxiety symptoms. The last time we were a couple, we went for a drive and I had to break her heart. I could feel myself getting bad again and I didn't want her to go through the hell. So I talked to her about how I was feeling. Told her it's getting bad again and let her go. She pleaded that she could handle it and wanted to keep the relationship. The little sanity I had left knew it to be the good thing to do for her sake. Your BF saying he is afraid is a lot like I used to speak when I was on the cusp of suicide. You seriously need to ask if that is possibility for him. And if so, you need to get him to a doctor or call a crisis check-up on him. That's literally all you can do for him. The rest is up to him. If he doesn't get help after that, you know that you tried and can leave without guilt. You have every right to end it. I encourage you to, but also make sure someone else knows about his mental health so he can be supported when you're gone. When I broke up with my partner, it shattered the both of us. I was going to make another attempt, but I knew she would be the one to find me and I didn't want that. Instead, I did what she would have wanted. I went to therapy, got medicated, Got better days but still depressed 70% of the time. I was at least functional until the meds stopped working. Just know for some people it's chronic. And others can snap out of it. I hope your BF can snap out of it. Because living how I do is extremely difficult. I wish nothing but the best for you and hope you can heal also. I know you love him. But it isn't your job fix him. You've tried providing resources for help and he hasn't taken them. You've tried talking things out with him. Showing up in person. And it hasn't helped. It's a vicious cycle of if he doesn't want to be helped then you can't help him. But that he's probably also suffering too much to be able to want help. If you're in contact with his family then please let them know what's going on so that they can check in on him. Is there any incident to trigger this depression? I'm sorry you're hurting so much. But you need to realize that sacrificing yourself for someone who doesn't want to be helped isn't worth it. Maybe breaking up will provide the wake-up call he needs. It could also trigger a worse spiral. But regardless, his actions are not your responsibility. Look out for yourself since he can't even be bothered to say hello for 6 weeks. I have had depression since I was 9. I am now 51, so I know about it. You can't help him if he doesn't want help himself. He doesn't sound like he wants to get help right now. It's great to have hope but could take years if not never for him to get the help he needs. You have to ask yourself if you to put your life on hold while he gets help. Good luck. Don't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. You love him and that's fine, but he has to want to get better. He has to get up and make changes to get better. There is nothing you can do. Staying with him will only bring you down. You can't want him to get better more than he does. Although I am still 17. You may or may not hear me out on my take about this, but I am dating and still is dating this guy the first. Met as a classmate in 10th grade. We became official just a year later after we met. And ever since we both entered senior high, he fell into severe depression. I really love him, but yes, I was very hurt when he would leave me on inbox, answer my calls but staying silent the entire time. Sometimes would take out his anger and bitterness in life towards me. And many episodes of virtual arguments and intense texting from small misunderstandings we have of each other. But despite that I am hurt. And despite that he is clearly hurting himself mentally. I know I shouldn't have any expectations on him, especially at the age of 17. I am still merely a human. And so yes, I have thought of leaving him, breaking his heart, and take revenge on him by hurting him at his lowest time while I try to find someone else better. I could really just walk away and watch our relationship fade and turn to ashes. In my opinion, true and sincere love is loving a difficult person. Love isn't selfish. Nobody is perfect. And there will never be a perfect person. But no, red flags should still be addresses and some things should not be tolerated. Thus confrontation and communication should be put into practice. Humanity is supposed to help one another where the other person lacks in. So despite all the pain I've been through in being pushed away and left in the cold, I know it would only crush him all the more if I leave him, especially at this state. I continued to support and showed my love for him in many ways. I helped him see many other perspectives that he might have missed. Suggested to see a psychiatrist or a professional. Even simply as still saying greetings every day and, don't try to ask, are you? Because that is a very difficult question for him to answer and could possibly make him stressed. Just reminding him that I am all ears. That I love him. And even share bits of stuff that happened to me that day. Or a song I newly discovered and would like to share it to him. It's important to treat him like a person. So do not put your selfishness and entitledness first when faced with a relative or loved one with depression or severe anxiety. After 3 months. And today, I think he is feeling a bit confident in himself, and he was capable in urging Mr. Depression back outside his door. I know I can't fix him. I know depression isn't easy. And neither will it disappear forever. But I know what I can do. And that is support a fellow human who I care about the most, of course. I can still address many of his flaws and compromise where we could improve. It's important to be open-minded and be loving, as the saying goes, you like, because. But you love, despite. We both are still young anyway. And same goes to you. Help each other out. But do not forget to take care of yourself too, mentally, emotionally, and physically. All the best to you. I am in a somewhat similar boat. Except, I'm your boyfriend and I left my ex because of my depression in January. You're right. Depression fully takes over your life and changes you. I love my ex. And wish I was still with him. But I know, in order for me to be with him in any sort of capacity in the future, I need to get better. I'm now in therapy once a week. 2 days ago I started my antidepressants. I'm trying very hard to do self-care, but some days are worse than others. I would send the letter. But still be there to support him as a friend. They need help. Just like me. But no one can help them. Until they start to help themselves. Cliché but true. Something I live by. If it's meant to be, it will be. If you're meant to get back together, you will. But, as someone who suffers like your boyfriend, don't stay around just because you love him. Leave because you love yourself. It's tough. I know it is. But your happiness matters just as his. Good luck, op. I don't want to tell you what to do or to disagree with the people who are saying you should leave him. But I would like to present an alternative view. He receives a text or a call and he feels nothing. An overwhelming feeling of I should pick up the phone. There's nothing physically stopping me. But I can't pick it up. It's too hard. A loved one will message and their kind words will not resonate at all. One day it might feel like they don't really mean what they say. It's a cruel trick the universe is playing on you. Another day it might feel like you're not worthy of love. And you try to smother those feelings with whatever vice helps. Depression robs you of every positive feeling you have. And leaves you feeling like all the lights in your life are going out. There is no connection between the emotions and rational thought. This is him at his most vulnerable. This is not the time to have a serious talk about your relationship. I feel like I am rambling now, so my practical advice is to physically drive him to an ER and have him admitted to their mental health department. If he won't go, see if mental health crisis number is available in your area. Talk to them about your concerns. Talk to them about his daily functioning, and if you're worried about suicide, make sure that if you leave, someone knows beforehand and can check on him. I've been there. Sweet, active, perky, fun girlfriend who wanted to do all the things but couldn't get my partner to do anything. I stayed for 8 years. 20 to 28. If that's not supposedly my prime, I don't know what is. I tried so much. I tried to hold us both up. Eventually I crumbled. 6 years in I developed crippling anxiety. I actually sought treatment and therapy while my partner did not. I got better. And realized I'd wasted my entire 20s trying to drag around an extra 200 pounds of dead weight. Please send it. Just do it. He knows it's coming. It's going to be better than okay. You know how you're hurting right now, BC. You have so much love to give and he won't accept it? There's literally millions of boys who want someone to love them and to love back. You deserve love and you'll have it. I'm 38 now, and my partner now is so loving I literally have to ask her for space. When that used to be me. My bedroom has fresh flowers. Candles lit on a casual Friday. While it might seem cold or cynical, I definitely think you should break with him no matter how much it hurts either of you. Remember that in any world, unless you have children, yourself should always be your top priority, so it may be hard, but personally I think it's the best option you have. Depression is an explanation, not an excuse for his behavior. If he's able to ghost you for 6 weeks when you've done nothing wrong, until he had no choice because you confronted him by showing up, then claim he wants to work things out but instead continue to ghost you, then it sounds like you don't actually have much of a relationship anyway, and breaking up is just cutting the cord and formalizing it. This guy is not only not in a fit state to maintain a healthy or functional relationship, he's in fact not in a fit state to maintain any relationship at all. You have a right and in fact a responsibility to look after yourself and your own happiness and mental health. You cannot keep pouring water into a bucket with a massive hole in it and getting nothing back. Do not get sucked back in. Walk away for good, and not just until next time he decides he's willing to acknowledge you exist. Depression is horrible. But if you break your leg, you do something about it. If he isn't getting help, you shouldn't have to suffer with him. Maybe it will be the push he needs. Provide helpline numbers, web addresses, therapist contact details, and tell him to get help. It isn't your responsibility to set yourself on fire to keep him warm. You have done everything you can for him. But now you can only do it as a friend. Just offer to be there for him. But remember that a relationship is a two-way street, and he clearly isn't meeting you even close to where he needs to for this relationship to continue. I have a similar situation at the moment. It's actually why I joined Reddit, because I wanted to see if I wasn't alone in this. My boyfriend and I have been together for almost 10 years, and usually I'm the one with the depressive episodes. But this time around it's him. I know it's hard because you just want to be comforted by your person when he's the one struggling and needs comfort. However, in my case, he isn't used to being comforted, so he's proceeding to push me away. He's told me he doesn't know what he wants, but then he's turned around and said he wants me to keep the faith. It's hard because sometimes I see glimpses of the man I love, and other times it's like I'm talking to a stranger. I just wanted to let you know you're not alone. And I know it's confusing as heck right now because he can't give you a clear answer. So maybe just try and accept the fact that you won't know for sure, and just do what feels right to you. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Be supportive but set boundaries so you don't drown in the emotions as well. You'll be no help to him if you yourself are struggling. Take things with a grain of salt, and remember that things he might say is actually the depression talking, so try not to take it personal. Everyone will tell you he needs professional help, but sometimes it's not that easy. Sometimes maybe he just needs you as his best friend right now and not his lover. I can't give you answers because I don't have any either, but I just hope you know that you're not alone. Sending hugs. Hey op. I have major depressive disorder. The thing about a mental illness like this one, if it is what your boyfriend has, is that it is on him as the person living with it to develop the skills to manage an episode, the most important of which is gaining the insight into his own mental state to understand that he needs help, and to ask for it. If he's not doing that, you cannot love him into doing it. I understand how it feels. Depression is a nightmare and it lies to you. It can make you irritable and prone to withdrawal from your loved ones. And while the behaviors it can cause that are wearing on you as a loved one are not his fault per se, he's dealing with a mental illness, they are his responsibility to control and to seek help for. Even as he is suffering, there's not an excuse to treat you poorly. This is something you learn in therapy. And something that can really be helped by good clinical help for depression. Do you have a relationship with his family at all? Could you speak to his parents? You are not in any way obligated to stay in this relationship because he is mistreating you. But sometimes a broader support group can be more effective at getting someone to accept help. IDK if this will help. But as someone who struggles with anxiety and depression, sometimes we just don't know how to communicate what we're feeling on the inside. Because we don't even know. I doubt that it's him not wanting to communicate. Sometimes you don't have the will to get out of bed, brush your teeth, comb your hair, even eat, much less communicate with another human being. Even though someone might know that they need the help. The work that they know that they will need to do in order to get better can seem so daunting. Being healthy can seem so far away and hard to attain. If he does seek help himself, that would be a very big step. In a lot of cases, people's family members, choose friends have to step in to forcibly hospitalize the ill individual. In men, certain illnesses become most prominent from the age of 22 to about 26. And there's no way to know what his mental health is really like without an evaluation. Is he close with his family? Are you close with his family? I'm just saying that if this is somebody that you really love, and you don't want to give up on them, don't. Depression and anxiety doesn't just go away. It is a lifelong illness that is a balancing act. You get better at managing it as you grow older and gain the emotional tools you need to properly cope and deal with the day-to-day ups and downs. If you choose to stay, understand that this will be a process that will take many years to fully resolve and properly manage. With determination, you can start seeing positive reactions to therapy and medication within the first few months. But that's also assuming that the medication that is prescribed, if there is any, works well with his system. Sometimes it takes a little bit of playing around with the medicine types or doses, but the thing that will end up helping him the most is having a strong support system. Having people who will be by his side no matter what. And if this is somebody that you consider marriage material in the long run, understand that part of the better or for worse. This is part of the worse. I wouldn't recommend sacrificing yourself for somebody. If it's more than you can handle or if it greatly affects your mental health or well-being, it's probably best for both of you to separate. But if you feel like this is something that you truly want to do, truly want to help with, just make sure you understand exactly what it is you are getting yourself into. You have to do it because it's something you want to do, not just because it's something you feel that they need from you. It can become easy to resent your partner if you do it solely for them. IDK just food for thought. I hope everything works out for the both of you, regardless of your relationship standing. And I hope he receives the help that he needs. Be blessed, heart. As someone who has had bouts of depression, I have to say this can be very hard. I want to express that I don't believe, nor have I been diagnosed, I have any form of clinical depression. Because when I get moments, I'm aware, and I can take conscious steps towards trying to improve my mood and well-being. That said, it can still be incredibly draining and difficult for me to do so. So in the case of your BF, who might have a much more severe and chronic case of depression, this is rough. My heart goes out to anyone who suffers this. The times I've had it are just so crappy that I can't imagine how much worse it is for him. Really, the best thing for you to do is to try and convince him to get some professional help from someone. I know you want to be strong and hope that you can be the answer for him. But to be completely honest, this might be more than you can handle on your own. This doesn't mean that you can't be there for him and still support him. But to try and tackle this solo could be futile, if not detrimental even to yourself. If nothing works, then the choice is up to you to break things off. I wouldn't personally blame you. To love someone who suffers mentally is incredibly taxing. My ex suffered from some form of mental health issue that she wouldn't disclose, and it breaks me knowing how callous I was being to her at times, because I could never understand her when she was having her bad moments. It was stressful and took a toll on me. But my lack of understanding to her plight, I think, made it worse. It's just how those sorts of things go. If you're willing to go the distance, then do so. But just know, it will challenge you. But any relationship that means anything will challenge you. And if they matter enough, you will endure no matter what. Best of luck to you. Your situation sounds similar as to mine with this guy the first was previously talked to. I love him dearly. Very much till today. I tried my very best to help and support him, but instead got pushed away and we broke off. He denied all help and support. All he wants is to be left alone. He told me this was his coping mechanism. It breaks me that I wasn't able to do anything. Seeing someone you love like this breaks you. And he does not see and feel you. His mind is clouded. You can't help someone that does not wants to be helped. You have to help yourself first before helping someone. You need to be strong. Meanwhile, what you can do is give him time and space, hoping he slightly gets better and understand how he needs help.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.